My boyfriend said he was going to propose to me in a haunted attraction. But the second I stepped inside, he killed the power, slammed the door shut, and locked me in. The claustrophobia I'd been left with after being kidnapped as a child came roaring back, and panic closed around my throat so hard I could barely breathe. I collapsed to the floor and pounded on the door with everything I had. Adrian opened the door. I'm scared. Then I heard a sweet, playful female voice from outside. I can't believe she actually bought your April Fool's joke about proposing in a haunted house. You won the bet this time. I'm all yours tonight. Blood in my body turned to ice. I recognized that voice immediately. It belonged to the live streamer Adrian had been obsessing over lately, so that was all 10 years between us were worth. Just a tool for him to impress another woman. But if I really died in that pitch-black haunted house, what exactly would he have to cry about? Asterisk, 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 my heart stopped beating. I lay on the cold floor and watched my soul drift out of my body. Outside the door, Adrian was still laughing like nothing in the world mattered. Evie, you're just too timid. Stay in there and tough it out. You're desensitized and stop being scared. You can come try all kinds of extreme sports with Chloe and me. I hovered beside him as tears spilled down my face. He had forgotten that I had heart disease. I really could die. Chloe started her live stream, angled the camera toward herself and Adrian, and smiled as she greeted her viewers. This is my guest boyfriend for today. Made a bet with him. If he could trick his girlfriend, who has a heart condition, into a haunted house on April Fool's Day, then I'd be his today. The chat instantly flooded with W and fire emojis. This dude really did his own girlfriend dirty just to impress another girl. Man, ruthless. Are you two really gonna sneak off and hook up tonight? Chloe shot Adrian a shy glance and said in a coy voice, What are you guys talking about? This is just an April Fool's challenge. I lost, so how could I possibly back out now? Adrian cupped her face and kissed her on the lips. Backing out. I watched them kiss like they couldn't get enough of each other. My heart had already stopped, yet something inside my chest still twisted in pain. 2 weeks earlier, both our families had started pressuring us to get engaged. It was Adrian who had knelt at my feet and promised he would give me a home as soon as he could. I had thought today would be the happiest day of my life. I thought the boy next door I'd loved since childhood was going to propose to me, with flowers, applause, and everyone's blessings. Instead, what awaited me was his April Fool's prank. Adrian glanced toward the haunted house. He could no longer hear my desperate screams from inside. He raised an eyebrow at Chloe and gave her a thumbs up. Your exposure therapy really works. Evie's not even scared anymore. Chloe lifted her chin smugly. Obviously. Maybe she's already having the time of her life in there and has fallen in love with the thrill. The viewers started urging Chloe to take them exploring through the haunted house too. Adrian took the phone from her and carefully adjusted the angle. As they walked forward, I felt a strange force dragging me along with them. I tried to go somewhere else, but the moment I drifted too far away, I was yanked right back to Adrian's side. With their fingers tightly intertwined, Adrian and Chloe pushed open the door to another haunted room. A blood-curdling scream rang out. Instinctively, I threw myself toward Adrian's arms, only to pass straight through his body without resistance. A bitter smile tugged at my lips. Right, I was already dead. What was there left to be afraid of? I looked up and saw Adrian gently covering Chloe's eyes. You don't have to pretend to be brave today. I'll protect you. Ugh, this PDA is way too. I stood behind Adrian, watching him hold Chloe's hand tightly and shield her with his body. There was a time when he used to protect me that way too. My tears fell before I even realized it. Adrian shielded Chloe from every jump scare the staff threw at her and led her safely out of the haunted house. Chloe shook off his hand and pouted at him playfully. Are you always this protective of your girlfriend? I lowered my eyes and shook my head. Other than back when Adrian and I were kidnapped as kids, when I helped him escape, got my leg broken, and was locked in a dark room, there was only one time he ever took care of me like that. After I was rescued, he stayed by my side day and night. In the 7 years we were together after that, he never treated me with that kind of care again. When I got sick, he went drinking with his friends. When I got into a car accident, he called just to yell at me for being stupid. Even last year, when I had my heart transplant and the odds of success were only 10%, I begged him to stay with me because I was terrified I'd die without seeing him again. He still never showed up because he was off celebrating his ex's birthday. Only after Adrian denied it did Chloe finally let him take her hand again. The viewers in the live stream had no interest in watching them flirt with each other for long, and before long, more than half of them had left. Then Chloe's eyes lit up. She clung to Adrian's arm and said in a sugary voice, "I heard you and your girlfriend are already planning to get engaged, so why don't you take me to see the house you two are supposed to live in after the wedding?" I rushed in front of Adrian and spread my arms wide. "No, you can't. My dad renovated that house for me with his own 2 hands. Every brick and every coat of paint carried my father's love for me. To turn it into the home I had always dreamed of, he threw out his back so badly he could barely stand up straight. How could Adrian dare let someone else trample over all of that? I tried desperately to stop him, but my body kept passing through his over and over again. He drove Chloe straight to our future home. The number of viewers in the stream doubled almost instantly. Oh my God, this is insane. Bringing your side piece to the home you were supposed to share with your fiancé is next level. What are you even talking about? If he's willing to take Chloe there, that just proves she's the woman he really loves. Do you people even understand what love conquers all means? Chloe smiled sweetly and kissed Adrian on the cheek. Exactly. The one he doesn't love is the real side chick. Don't be jealous, guys. I trembled with rage. I wanted to wrench the steering wheel and send that shameless, disgusting pair straight to their deaths. But I couldn't. All I could do was watch helplessly as Adrian opened the door to our home. Chloe ran into the living room with the camera in hand, excitement written all over her face. She trailed her fingers over the elegant coffee table, then flopped down onto the soft couch. It's gorgeous. Had even installed a projector in the ceiling. The moment you turned on the lights, stars would spill across the walls. I threw myself at Adrian and begged him to make Chloe leave. "Get out. You're not welcome here." Then a sharp crashing sound tore through the air, and I spun around. Chloe stuck out her tongue with a playful grin and pointed at the shattered porcelain pieces on the floor. "Oops, sorry. I bumped into it by accident." Mind went blank. I dropped to my knees, my fingers shaking as I tried to piece the broken porcelain doll back together. My mom had made it with Dad and me the day before she died. She had told me that the doll would stay with me forever in her place. Tears burst out of me like a broken dam. I clutched the shards and sobbed uncontrollably. Adrian glanced at the mess on the floor as lightly as if it meant nothing at all, then swept every last piece into the trash. No, he couldn't hear me, and even if he could have, he never would have cared. I sat on the floor, hollow-eyed and numb, wishing I could disappear right then and go apologize to my mother. I had failed to protect the thing she left me. The next second, a phone started ringing sharply. Adrian looked at the lit-up phone screen and his back went rigid. He gestured for Chloe to turn the sound off before finally answering the call. "Mom, what is it, Mrs.?" Carter's anxious voice came through the speaker. "Adrian, where did you and Evie go?" Her father just called me. He said her medical alert watch sent out in sauce. I rushed up to the speaker and screamed with everything I had. "Mrs. Carter, Adrian locked me inside the haunted house. Please come save me. I'm so scared." As if he felt something, Adrian glanced in my direction and frowned. His fingers tightened until his knuckles turned white, and when he spoke, he forced his voice to stay calm. "Mom, Evie, with me. We're out on a date." "Mr. Bennett, not to worry. I'm taking good care of her." It felt as if someone had ripped my heart open all over again. Crying, I grabbed at Adrian's collar and demanded through blurred tears, "Why are you lying? Tell them the truth." "My dad is going to worry. I'm all he has left, Mrs." Carter was about to say more, but Chloe looped her arms around Adrian's neck and breathed against him in a deliberately intimate way. "You're my boyfriend today. If you keep bringing up another woman, I'm going to get jealous." Adrian hung up without a second thought. I watched more viewers pour into the live stream. This is wild. She's basically a modern-day siren. No wonder men lose their minds over her. Chloe needs to teach a masterclass. I want a new boyfriend every day, too. Even after hanging up, Adrian still looked vaguely unsettled. He gave Chloe a light pat on the butt and started calling me. "Easy, sweetheart. Let me call Evie first and make sure she's okay. She really isn't in good health. I'm worried." But before the phone could ring more than once, Chloe snatched it away, pouted, and powered it off, calling her. "You're mine today. Besides, she has hands, doesn't she? If she feels that bad, she can call an ambulance herself instead of bothering someone else's boyfriend." Chloe said it with complete confidence, then started giving the girls in her stream tips on how to keep a man in line. "Ladies, if a woman gets sick and runs to somebody else's boyfriend instead of going to a doctor, that's classic pick-me behavior. If you run into something like that, tell your man to turn off his phone and ignore her." Floating in midair, I let out a cold, mocking laugh. Just last week, I came down with a bad case of gastroenteritis, and Adrian panicked and drove me to the hospital. Halfway there, Chloe suddenly texted him. "Chloe, Adrian, I accidentally cut my hand." It hurt so bad, a photo came right after it. Her fingers were pale and slender, glistening with suggestive droplets, but there wasn't a wound anywhere in sight. Adrian slammed on the brakes and dumped me on the side of the road. Frowning anxiously, he spun the car around at once. Chloe cut her hand. "I need to go buy her some Band-Aids first." "Can get yourself to the hospital. After all these years, you should be used to handling things on your own by now. Chloe's different. She's out here alone trying to make it, and she needs me with her right now." It was 3 a.m. I couldn't get a ride no matter how hard I tried. In the end, I passed out by the roadside and didn't know how much time had passed before a stranger finally took me to the hospital. What should have been a minor stomach issue turned into a severe gastric perforation. When I woke up, I cried and asked Adrian if he didn't love me anymore. He had knelt in front of me and sworn that next time, he would never leave me behind again. In his heart, I had always come second. But now, I truly didn't care anymore. The only thing I cared about was how devastated my father would be when he learned I was dead. After that little interruption, the viewers in the live stream started urging Chloe to show them the master bedroom. Adrian hesitated, but in the end, he still gave in to her pout and her sweet little act. The moment he pushed the door open, the exquisite heirloom wedding gown came into view. The live stream exploded instantly. "Oh my God, that has to be hand embroidery, right? Those embroidered birds look almost alive. It looks like something a Gilded Age heiress would have worn on her wedding day." A greedy glint flashed in Chloe's eyes. She shoved the camera closer and ran her fingers over the dense, delicate stitching. A scream tore out of me. "Touch it with your filthy hands." That gown had been passed down through my family for generations. My grandmother gave it to my mother, and my mother gave it to me. She had said that when I wore it, I would be the most beautiful bride in the world. I bit the inside of my mouth until I tasted blood, but all I could do was tremble helplessly. I was only a soul now. I couldn't touch anything. I couldn't do anything. Chloe kept stroking the gown, unable to put it down, and then she actually lifted it off the hanger. The live stream immediately started egging her on. "Then marry your boyfriend right here. I want to see it." She'd look unreal in that. Chloe smiled shyly and tossed Adrian a flirtatious look. "It isn't mine. How could I just take someone else's things like that?" As Adrian looked at the beautiful gown, Evie's smiling face suddenly flashed through his mind. Just a few days ago, she had told him that on their wedding day, she wanted him to help her into that gown himself. She wanted to wear it with her family's blessings and become his beautiful bride. Adrian swallowed hard and caught Chloe by the hand. "You can't wear it. She'll be angry." Chloe froze, clearly never expecting him to refuse her. The live stream turned noisy at once, and plenty of viewers started complaining. "It's not like Chloe's stealing it. She's just trying it on." "What's the big deal exactly? It's just for the stream. No one else has to know." Chloe's eyes reddened with grievance. A tear dropped onto the back of Adrian's hand as she bit her lip and softened her voice. "Adrian, I've never seen such a beautiful wedding gown before. Don't you like me? Don't you want to marry me?" She shoved Adrian backward onto the bed and started pulling off her clothes. Acid surged into my throat, and I doubled over beside the bed, retching violently. I had picked out that bed. I had washed those sheets with my own hands. I had thought Adrian and I would fall asleep in each other's arms on that bed one day. But now he was kissing Chloe with heated desire, pinning her beneath him. The live stream kept flooding the screen with gifs and comments, urging them on. "Put the dress on. Put the dress on. And then go consummate it. We want the 18+ version." This is exactly our kind of content. Adrian dressed Chloe in the heirloom wedding gown with his own hands. His fingers slid over her back before he gripped the nape of her neck and kissed her deeply. Tears streamed down my face, and a mocking smile curled at my lips. He had betrayed every promise he ever made to me. He had ruined everything I had ever treasured. "Adrian Carter, I truly regret ever loving you." Adrian took Chloe's hand, had her say vows with him, and then they toasted each other with champagne. They went through the entire ceremony, and to the cheers of the viewers, Adrian swept Chloe into his arms and carried her to the bed in the master bedroom. Chloe glanced at the framed photo of Adrian and me on the nightstand and curved her lips in a taunting smile. It was as if she were saying she had won. that any man in the world would fall at her feet. My nails dug deep into my palms as I turned away and forced myself to ignore the tangled, intimate sounds behind me. Just as they were about to go further, the bedroom door was kicked open. Mrs. Carter appeared in the doorway. The moment she saw the naked man and woman on the bed, all the color drained from her face. She strode past me and slapped Adrian so hard his head snapped to the side. "You ungrateful fool. Do you even know something happened to Evie?" A vivid red handprint rose on Adrian's face, and his ears rang from the force of it. He turned and shouted at Mrs. Carter in fury. "Mom, can you stop helping her put on this act? What could possibly have happened to her? She's a grown woman. Can't she take care of herself?" I stood frozen in place. It had never occurred to me that, in Adrian's eyes, I was nothing more than some attention-seeking drama queen. Tears slipped down my face on their own, and a dull, bitter ache spread through my chest. Ever since I nearly gave my life helping Adrian escape and was left with severe claustrophobia afterward, Mrs. Carter had always felt that Adrian owed me. From childhood until now, if I so much as seemed a little upset, she would immediately scold him and demand to know if he had bullied me again. And every single time, I would rush to explain that it wasn't his fault. It was my own problem. So all that time, Adrian had thought I was just putting on a show. I let out a bitter laugh and wiped away the tears at the corners of my eyes. Mrs. Carter was shaking with rage from his words when she looked past him and saw Chloe lying naked on the bed. Chloe had her head resting on the rumpled heirloom wedding gown. The embroidered birds were stained, and threads had come loose in several places. Mrs. Carter's eyes turned red. She lifted her hand and slapped Chloe across the face. "You shameless little homewrecker. Do you even know my son is about to marry Evie?" The crisp sound of the slap cracked through the room. Mrs. Carter stared in disbelief at Adrian as he rushed forward and intercepted the next blow meant for Chloe. Her fingers trembled violently. I lowered my eyes with a self-mocking smile. Adrian did know how to care about someone. He would throw himself in front of any hurt meant for the girl he truly loved. And me, to him, I was nothing but a burden. Adrian motioned for Chloe to get dressed and end the live stream. Then he turned to Mrs. Carter with cold eyes. "Mom, I'm going to marry Evie soon. I just wanted to date the person I actually like before the wedding. Why do you have to stop me?" Mrs. Carter looked up at him in stunned disbelief, her voice shaking. "Evie, the one you love. When you were little, you said you were going to marry her one day." Adrian didn't answer. He simply scooped Chloe into his arms and walked out, and I was forced to follow. As we passed Mrs. Carter, I suddenly regretted ever saying yes to Adrian, ever agreeing to become her daughter-in-law. Adrian pulled open the car door and carefully settled Chloe into the passenger seat. Mrs. Carter came running after them, shouting in panic. "Adrian, Evie's medical alert watch is still showing no vital signs. Begging you, tell me where she is." Adrian got into the car irritably and started the engine. Then he slammed his foot on the gas and left Mrs. Carter behind until she disappeared completely from view. Chloe turned her live stream back on, pouting as she spoke in a spoiled little voice. "Adrian and I almost got to really be husband and wife tonight, but his mom found us. Good girls aren't supposed to do bad things." Then she turned the camera toward Adrian and smiled sweetly. "Adrian should make it up to me and take me to the amusement park to ride the carousel." Sitting in the back seat, I listened to Chloe's syrupy, affected words and nearly threw up all the acid in my stomach. My soul had grown a little more transparent, and inside, I felt strangely hollow. "Dad, did he know I was dead yet?" Adrian smacked the steering wheel in frustration. He grabbed the phone beside him, only to realize there wasn't a single message on it. Usually, if he disappeared for even 10 minutes, Evie would be on the verge of tears, sending voice messages asking where he was. But today, there was nothing. The viewers in the live stream quickly picked up on the strange shift in the mood between Chloe and Adrian. Annoyed, they started urging the two of them to act sweeter with each other. Leaning against Adrian's shoulder, Chloe whined in a syrupy voice. "Adrian, take me to the amusement park." For the first time, he didn't indulge her. Instead, he quietly pulled away from her touch. "Evie's been locked in that haunted house for 3 hours. We need to go find her first." The moment he said it, Chloe's eyes reddened with wounded grievance. Her shoulders trembled slightly as she sniffled under her breath. "You're my boyfriend today. We only have this one day together. You'll have plenty of time to make it up to her later. Don't you want to walk away without regrets?" Adrian had been ready to go look for Evie immediately. But after tightening his grip on the steering wheel, He entered a new destination into the navigation system and headed for the amusement park instead. Evie had never really stayed mad at him anyway. What difference would it make if she waited a little longer? Besides, they were getting married soon. At worst, he could just make it up to her for a few extra days when they went on their honeymoon. At the thought, the corners of Adrian's mouth lifted before he even realized it. Evie had always wanted to go to Norway to see the Northern Lights. He would take her there then. She would definitely be so moved she'd cry. The car came to a smooth stop, and Adrian took Chloe by the hand and led her into the amusement park. The live stream comments started rolling in. This is kind of boring. Don't you have any better challenges? I kinda want to see the streamer kiss her boyfriend at the very top of the Ferris wheel, then send the video to his fiancé. That's evil. I love it. Chloe read the comments out loud one by one, her eyes sparkling as she looked at Adrian. Before he could respond, she had already dragged him onto the Ferris wheel for the views. As the Ferris wheel rose slowly into the sky, the whole city spread out beneath them in dazzling view. But Adrian had no mind to enjoy it. Instead, without meaning to, he started thinking about the day he confessed to Evie. That had happened on a Ferris wheel too. After hearing his confession, Evie's cheeks had turned pink, and she had blurted out, "I like you too," almost immediately. Then, when their gondola reached the very top, they had shared the lightest kiss. That was only because Evie had shown him a post online. The post said that if two people who truly loved each other kissed at the very top of a Ferris wheel, they would stay together forever. Only then did Adrian suddenly remember that he really had loved Evie once. To him, she had never been just a responsibility. She had been someone he had genuinely wanted to grow old with. By the time that realization hit him, the Ferris wheel had nearly reached the top. Chloe pulled out a second phone and aimed it at the two of them, then shyly closed her eyes. But the kiss she was waiting for never came. When she opened her eyes, all she saw was Adrian looking at her with hesitation written all over his face. "Sorry, I can't kiss you. Done with this boyfriend for a day stunt. Later, you're coming with me to talk to my girlfriend and explain everything. There's nothing going on between us. About to marry her. I don't want her to misunderstand what this is." Chloe froze, and the live stream exploded. Oh, please. Now he wants to act like the devoted fiancé, as Adrian dragged Chloe back to the car and sped toward the haunted house. An inexplicable dread curled tighter and tighter inside his chest, as if he had already lost something important. All he could do was slam his foot harder on the gas and hurry to find Evie. But when they were almost there, Adrian suddenly heard the shrill wail of police sirens. The unease inside him instantly swelled into panic. Before the car had even come to a full stop, he was already rushing toward the sound. The police were trying to force the haunted house door open. Adrian's legs felt as heavy as lead. With trembling hands, he dug the key out of his pocket. His eyes were already red. "I'll open it." The officers frowned in confusion when they heard him, but they didn't ask questions. They stepped aside at once. Adrian's hands were shaking so badly he couldn't line the key up with the lock. After a full minute of fumbling, the lock finally clicked open. The instant he saw what was inside, his legs gave out beneath him, and he dropped to his knees on the floor. Evie's eyes were still wide open, one hand braced against the wall as if she had been reaching out for help. Her face was deathly pale, and every trace of color had drained from her lips. Adrian let out a ragged, agonized scream and crawled toward her on his hands and knees before pulling her into his arms. "Evie, don't scare me like this. Say something, okay? I won't leave you behind again. Please don't play a joke like this on me." I drifted beside Adrian, ignoring his hypocritical tears. The police forcibly pulled him away and began photographing the scene. White pills were scattered all over the floor near my body, and my phone lay there completely dead. Adrian broke down completely, clinging to me and refusing to let go. Watching him cry like his heart had been ripped out, I almost found it funny. Wasn't he the one who had locked me in that haunted house for fun because of a bet with Chloe, even though he knew I had a heart condition? Wasn't he the one who ignored my desperate cries for help and called it helping me build courage, all while costing me the best chance I had of being saved? I wanted to stand in front of him and ask him myself. I was dead now, so what exactly was he crying for? And yet pain still twisted through me uncontrollably, and tears kept pouring down my face. The police powered my phone back on and unlocked it with my fingerprint. They pulled up my contacts and called Dad. He picked up instantly, and his familiar voice came through the speaker. The worry in his voice was impossible to hide. "Sweetheart, did something happen?" Did your watch and phone die? I've been trying to reach you. I've been worried sick." The police fell silent. It was as if none of them knew how to tell him that his daughter was dead. The air stayed quiet for so long that Dad began to sense something was wrong. Then I heard the crisp sound of a glass shattering. His voice broke as he asked, "Sweetheart, what happened to you?" I bit down hard on my lip, not daring to let myself cry out loud. The officers' eyes had all gone red. Even their voices shook. "Are you Ms. Bennett's father? Something terrible has happened to your daughter. Please come to the happy haunt downtown." Dad sucked in a sharp breath, then let out an unsteady laugh. "Who is this? Is Evie playing some kind of dare or prank? Tell her I made her favorite pot roast and to come home early." All the grief and hurt I had been holding inside burst out at once, and I finally broke down sobbing. I wanted to snatch the phone away and hang up the call. I didn't want Dad to have to bury his child. I didn't want him to hurt like this, but I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do anything at all. Half an hour later, Dad and Mrs. Carter arrived at the scene. The moment he saw me lying pale and motionless on the floor, tears spilled from his eyes. Staggering toward me, he pulled me into his arms with desperate force. "How could this happen? Sweetheart, open your eyes and look at Dad." Mrs. Carter glared at Adrian, who stood off to the side with empty eyes, and then slapped him several times through gritted teeth. "This is what you called fine? Tell me, what did you do to Evie?" After seizing the phone Chloe had been live-streaming with, the police quickly pieced together exactly what had happened. Adrian had made a bet with a female streamer. If he could trick me, a woman with heart disease, into going into a haunted house, Chloe would be his for the day. That phrase alone, with everything it implied, made both Dad and Mrs. Carter flush red with fury. Mrs. Carter grabbed Adrian and shook him hard, cursing him for being a fool. Dad raised his cane and brought it down on Adrian with all his strength. Adrian let out a muffled groan of pain. His nose broke and blood poured down onto the floor. "You bastard. What did you promise me back then? You said you'd cherish Evie for the rest of her life. You said you would never let her suffer, and now look at this." A few tears slipped from Dad's clouded eyes and the veins at his temples bulged. I hovered nearby in a panic, wishing I could steady his breathing, terrified his blood pressure would spike. Mrs. Carter covered her face and sobbed, tears slipping through her fingers. She couldn't even look at Dad. With a thud, she dropped to her knees at his feet. "Mr. Bennett, I'm sorry. This is my fault. I failed to raise my son right. Me too, if you want." Dad held my cold body tightly and didn't spare Mrs. Carter so much as a glance. He spat viciously in Adrian's direction. "Damn the whole Carter family. Not one of you is any good. What did my sweet girl ever do to you, Adrian? You knew she had heart disease. You knew she had severe claustrophobia, and you still locked her in a haunted house and scared her to death." Stared at my lifeless face and kept shaking his head. A bitter smile touched his lips as he reached out, as if he wanted to touch me. "No, that's impossible. Evie just trying to scare us." I lunged in front of him and sank my teeth into his arm with everything I had. "Get away from me. Don't touch me with your filthy hands." Whipped around, his eyes bloodshot and terrifying, he shot to his feet, rushed at Chloe, and clamped one hand around her throat. "You bitch. You promised me Evie would be fine. Give Evie back to me. Give her back." Had completely lost his mind, his fingers tightening harder and harder. Chloe's eyes bulged. Her face turned purple-blue in seconds. She struggled desperately, but even drawing breath had become a luxury. Just before she blacked out, the police moved in and restrained Adrian. They tore him away from her and pinned him in place, gripping his shoulders so hard he couldn't move. Completely unhinged, Adrian kept roaring for Chloe to give me back. Watching his pathetic act, I couldn't help letting out a cold laugh. Chloe collapsed into violent coughing, having barely escaped with her life. Furious, she hurled her phone at Adrian's face and shrieked, her voice sharp enough to cut. "Act like your hands are clean. You were the one who slid into my DMs first, asking me out and trying to sleep with me. I only gave you that condition to make things difficult for you. Was I supposed to know you were vicious enough to actually trick her into coming and lock her inside the haunted house? You're the one who really killed her." Adrian dropped to his knees on the floor and wept over my body in remorse. I'm sorry. Evie, I really didn't mean to. Please wake up, okay? We were about to get married. How could you leave me at a time like this? I wanted nothing more than to rip that hypocritical mouth right off his face. Leave him? The thing I regretted most was ever agreeing to be with him in the first place. If I could do it all over again, I would only want to stay as far away from him as possible. The evidence of murder was overwhelming, and the police quickly classified the case as murder. Chloe's livestream account was banned. Brands that had once hired her for sponsored promotions all came after her for massive breach of contract penalties. The media company she had signed with terminated her contract immediately and froze her agency-managed creator account. Clips of her flirting with Adrian during the livestream spread everywhere online. She got dragged online for knowingly becoming the other woman, and people turned her into all kinds of crude memes. The scandal blew up so badly that even her elderly parents, who lived out in the country and barely used the internet, heard about it. They came to my house, knelt in front of my father, and begged him to be understanding because Chloe had been foolish and immature. Dad showed them no mercy. He drove them out with a broom and even hung a sign outside the front door. No one was allowed to come and disturb us again. Otherwise, pushed far enough, even he would bite back. He would stake his life if he had to and drag those killers straight to hell so they could answer to me themselves. I drifted beside Dad and watched him cook my favorite meals every single day. He would gently wipe down my urn, sobbing so hard he could barely catch his breath. My heart hurt as if it were being pierced by needles. All I could do was kneel at his feet, bow low 3 times, and beg him to forgive me for being such a terrible daughter. Mrs. Carter came to visit Dad often. She never dared step inside. She would only stand at a distance, look at him once, and then bow deeply in apology. My heart ached for her too. I knew her grief was no less than Dad's. She never had a daughter of her own, and my mother died from hemorrhaging when she gave birth to me. Mrs. Carter had always loved me dearly and cared for me like I were her own daughter. Now I was dead, and it was her son who had killed me. There was no way she could have been hurting any less. Dad drifted through the days in a daze and nearly cried himself blind. My soul was growing more and more transparent, and I knew it would not be long before I disappeared completely. On the 7th day after my death, Dad finally agreed to bury me. He took out the savings of half a lifetime, money he had originally set aside as my wedding fund. Now it was used to buy me a burial plot instead. The day of the funeral, rain poured from the sky in sheets. Dad held a black umbrella over my urn and did not let a single drop touch it. I stared at one shoulder, soaked clean through, and felt my nose sting. Adrian came too. I heard he had knelt and begged the police for a long time just for the chance to see me off for half an hour. He looked haggard, with deep shadows under his eyes. Dad refused to let him come close, so he could only kneel at a distance. Adrian cried so hard he collapsed into the mud. He gritted his teeth and tried to wrench free of the handcuffs, scraping the insides of his wrists bloody. "No, Evie, get up, please. I really regret it. I'm begging you, come back to me." But no one answered him. I stood in front of my own headstone, staring at the black and white photo on it as tears slipped down my face. Dad's eyes were red as he personally played a mournful trumpet farewell for me. I closed my eyes and waited to disappear from this world. But until the last note of the trumpet faded, I was still suspended there in midair. Suddenly, the crowd erupted in alarm. Somehow, Adrian had broken free. He charged out into the rain and vanished almost at once. My soul was dragged after him again, out of my control. Adrian found Chloe at her house and kicked her door open. The crash was so loud it startled her badly while she was packing. Everything in her hands spilled onto the floor and she screamed in terror. "Adrian, get out. Get away from me." Chloe instinctively ran for the door, but Adrian blocked her path completely. Adrian yanked Chloe's hair back and wrapped a hand around her throat, his face twisted with rage. "You bitch. If you hadn't insisted on that stupid bet, Evie never would have died." Chloe shook her head in terror. A foul-smelling stream spread beneath her. She dropped to her knees, tears pouring down her face. "I was wrong. It's all my fault. Please, just don't hit me anymore, okay? I never should have suggested the haunted house challenge. I killed Evelyn Bennett." She begged for mercy until her voice turned hoarse, but Adrian didn't care. He dragged Chloe to the window and forced her to slam her forehead down again and again in front of me, making her confess her guilt. I floated nearby and watched Adrian desperately trying to atone for what he had done. It was as if he thought punishing Chloe could bring me back to life and somehow make me stop blaming him. Chloe's forehead was soon battered raw from the repeated blows, with blood streaming gruesomely down her face. Even after throwing away every last shred of dignity to beg and apologize, she still wasn't spared. Adrian tightened his grip around Chloe's throat and tried to shove her out the window. Half her body tipped over the edge, and she let out a shrill, terrified scream. She clawed wildly at Adrian's face and screamed at him with everything she had left. "You think if you kill me, Evie will forgive you. Adrian, the one who deserves to die most is you. You killed Evie with your own hands. You're the one who should go to hell and beg her forgiveness." Her sharp, hysterical screams echoed through the room. Adrian squeezed his eyes shut in agony, the veins in his forehead standing out. Then, like a madman, he flung Chloe out the window. I heard the sickening thud when her body hit the ground, and then I saw the blood spreading below. From 16 floors up, there was no way Chloe could have survived. Adrian's hands shook violently, as if he couldn't believe he had really killed someone. He spun around in panic, ready to run. But in the next second, his eyes locked directly onto me, my breath caught, and I froze where I stood. His eyes red-rimmed, Adrian dropped to his knees in front of me. Only then did I finally believe it. He really could see me. I stepped back at once, putting as much distance between us as I could. He reached for me, his voice trembling with joy and regret. "Evie, you came back." Sickened by him, I retreated all the way to the farthest corner. He hardly even dared blink, as if he were afraid I would vanish the instant he did. Kneeling before me, he let tears fall in heavy drops onto the floor as he confessed his sins. "Evie, believe me, I really didn't mean for this to happen. It was that bitch. She seduced me. She promised you'd be fine, so I finished the sentence he couldn't. So you locked me, a woman with heart disease, inside a haunted house. Even knowing I had severe claustrophobia, you still killed the power and ignored my pleas." My nails dug deep into my palms as I stared at him coldly. "You took her to our future home. You let her smash my mother's keepsake. You let her ruin my heirloom wedding gown. Adrian, your love disgusts me." His eyes widened in disbelief and his voice shook. "Evie, you saw all of it. You were with me the whole time." I couldn't be bothered to say another word to him. I only turned my gaze away in silence. Loud sirens rose from below, and police officers flooded into the building. Adrian knelt humbly at my feet, begging me to forgive him. I pried his fingers off me one by one and said in a voice as cold as ice, "You want my forgiveness? Fine, then go die." Moment the police broke through the door, Adrian didn't hesitate. He threw himself out the window. Maybe he was afraid he would have to pay with blood for blood after killing someone. Or maybe he really wanted to use his death to prove his remorse and atone before me. Either way, I would never forgive Adrian. After he died, my soul began fatting rapidly. And at the very moment I was about to disappear, I saw him. He drifted toward me, arms open, as if he wanted to gather me into his embrace. I gave him a cold, contemptuous smile and vanished completely into the wind as he let out a grief-stricken scream. Adrian collapsed in grief, tears of blood running from his eyes. But I knew that was not proof of repentance. I closed my eyes and prayed that in my next life, I would never meet Adrian Carter again. This is Listening Novel. We appreciate you spending your time with us. If you enjoyed today's story, please like and subscribe for more stories, and stay tuned for what's next.